Set in present-day South Africa, a Dutch actor and a South African actress meet on the film set of Krotoa Eva van die Kaap. He takes the role of Jan van Riebeeck, the VOC commander who established a refreshment station at the Cape in 1652, and she plays Krotoa, the young Khoe girl taken into Van Riebeeck's household, who went on to become a key negotiator and translator between the Dutch and the local people at a very, very young age. It's written by award-winning writer, filmmaker and journalist Sylvia Vollenhoven, who joins us now via Zoom to tell us more about the production and how the latest travel restrictions will impact its run at the Artscape Arena from the 8th to the 18th of December this year. A very good morning to you, Sylvia. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Khoe says greetings and thank you for having me.
Good to have you on the show this morning, Sylvia. Now, give us a brief synopsis into what Krotoa Eva van die Kaap is all about and what the inspiration is behind this production.
Well, it's an idea that came from our partners, the Volksopera Huis in the Netherlands, and they approached the director, Basil Apollos, about doing something about the story of Krotoa. And Basil said to them, you know what, as a bunch of men, we should not be writing the story, just repeating what happened in history. So he recommended that they approach me, and that's where this amazing collaboration began. And it's culminated in a play which opens at Artscape on Thursday, December 9, runs to December 18. And what we've done is we've made it relevant, we've made it now. So the play is set on a film set, and Krotoa, played by the wonderfully talented Bianca Flanders, is on a film set with a fellow actor, and it used to be Khoe that you're seeing there in the visual, who is a Dutch actor, but because of the travel restrictions, our team from the Netherlands couldn't come. And at the last minute, with just days to learn the role, the Dutch actor who plays Van Riebeeck has been replaced by Guion now. And I know it was very panicky, but just in days, he's made amazing, amazing strides. And the musician, who also has come from Holland in the past, is Jeff Hofmeister, and Jeff has been replaced by the amazingly talented Rikulati, who one of his albums was named as the top Afrikaans album of all time.
And why is the production so relevant during this period of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence here in South Africa?
Well, not just the 16 days, and yes, we address the issue of gender-based violence that goes way back hundreds and maybe possibly thousands of years, but also the abolition of slavery, which was commemorated on December 1st. So within this period, you know, there are very relevant themes that speak directly to the play. And there's a part in the play which comes straight out of the archives, where we found a piece in the archives that was clear the man she married, who was one of the colonials, and he had been beating her up and wrote, it is written in the diaries and in the journals, that she was sitting on a staircase and she slipped and fell and hit her head against a banister or the side of the stairs. Her cranium was cracked, sorry, they record, and she was unconscious for 3 days. So you don't sit on a staircase and then slip and, you know, hit your head and be unconscious. So we've looked at the inequality of the relationships. We've looked at how a child who came into Van Riebeeck's household at the age of 10 or 12, when he was already a grown man, how she becomes pregnant as a very young teenager, and Van Riebeeck, pardon, who records everything diligently in his diaries, does not tell us how a young girl who's hardly a teenager became pregnant, not once, but twice.
Speak to us about the collaboration between the Netherlands and South Africa and how the latest travel restrictions have affected the production.
Well, as I said, it came in the beginning as an idea from the Volksopera Huis, and we have some wonderful colleagues there. Annette Hazing, who is the producer, business manager, and as I said, Khoe Scholten, the actor, and Jeff Hofmeister, the musician. So in terms of the collaboration, most of the funding at that stage, at the early stage, for development and for staging it in the beginning came from the Netherlands, especially the Kingdom of the Netherlands Embassy now in South Africa, and Dutch Culture and Podium Music NL in Holland. And so the play actually opened in Amsterdam. It opened at the prestigious Bijlmer Park Theatre in Amsterdam, and then had a 6-week tour of the Netherlands before coming to South Africa. Came to South Africa, opened at Artscape. Artscape is one of the other major partners in this collaboration. And that was in 2018. 2 years down the line, the Dutch government again funded, and the organizations I've mentioned and Artscape funded a return of Krotoa van der Kaap. But as you know, last week, just as our colleagues in Holland were literally going to Schiphol Airport to get on a flight to come and join us for the rehearsals, the announcement of the new strain of COVID hit us, and they had to just cancel their plans, and they are stuck in Holland. And just before the weekend, Basil Apollos, the director, managed to cast very quickly those two talented people, Guion Nel and Riculati, and they started rehearsing in the last few days, and we're hoping to be ready for opening on December 9.
Now, Sylvia, what sort of compromises have you had to reach with the Netherlands, and are you at all happy with what you're seeing so far?
Well, that's interesting you should ask that, because I was nervous. I was nervous in the beginning. First of all, this is such a loaded story. It's so full of the problems that we still experiencing, not just the one that I've mentioned to you, gender-based violence. There's also the issue of Krotoa, how Van Riebeeck fed young children in his care alcohol to calm them down because the children were traumatized, including Krotoa. And what do we see now? The descendants of the indigenous people in those communities, alcohol is a much more pressing problem and alcoholism than in other communities. And so I was nervous because we go to the heart of some of these issues and we lay the blame at the door of not just Van Riebeeck, because he's a lone colonial, of the colonials and the intervention and how the disruption still impacts on us today. And at the first play reading, I was a bit worried about the reaction from our colleagues in the Netherlands. But I must say there's been zero interference. Nobody asked us to change anything. But at the same time, what is important is watching the reaction of the audiences in Holland as we were going from small town to big towns and capitals. And even the little town, Culemborg, where Van Riebeeck came from, you could see in some cases when people had watched the show, they were traumatized. They were completely shocked, they were disturbed, they were emotionally just put out. And that is because a lot of them didn't know the story of Krotoa, but a lot of them have not connected the dots. A lot of them have not made that connection between the colonial impact and what the problems that we are still struggling with.
Now, Krotoa was first performed to acclaim in the Netherlands, about a couple of years ago. Well, October 2019 to be specific. How was it received?
It was extremely well received. On the opening night and almost every performance, there were standing ovations. We had in South Africa, when the play came at the end of 2018 and early 2019, it made the crossover to South Africa. The same thing, standing ovations. And in fact, our previous run was sold out. So I'm going to say to people, go and buy your tickets, because in the previous run we could sell every seat. Now we can only sell a few seats in the theatre because of COVID, and it's already filling up fast. So I would recommend people to go to CompuTicket and get those tickets, because it is going to be sold out.
Okay, just briefly speak to us about the forum that you facilitated titled Krotoa and the Violence of History, and how that went.
Well, we started, the last time we had the play also went to the Free State Theatre, the Free State Festival, and at every run in South Africa, different parts of South Africa and in the Holland, we had parallel forums. And the idea of the parallel forums is we are throwing out some really powerful themes, issues that we're still struggling with. And as I just said to you, it has a huge impact on the audience. So we give the audience in these forums a chance to unpack some of these things and to find a way forward. Because the whole idea of the forums is the past can shine a light on the present. And when we look at the past and reflect on where we come from, we are better prepared for the future. So the forum yesterday was at the castle, which is the site of Krotoa's latest burial. She was moved around so many times, finally came to rest at the castle in recent times. and is also the site of where she lived her life, and all of these things happened that is played out in the play. And the forum was called Krotoa and the Violence of History, and we're looking at the afterlife of historic trauma. We had on the panel, the main discussants were Professor Pumla Gobodo Madikizela from the University of Stellenbosch, Dr. June Bam from the University of Cape Town, and in the audience we had an amazing array of people, academics, artists. We also had an artist, a featured artist, Jolyn Phillips, taking the discussion further into poetry and song, and the seamlessness of that worked really well, and the audience was extremely moved by the experience. Some amazing people in the experiences, especially, in the audience, especially like, some of our foremost journalists, media people, filmmakers, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, Professor Khoe, and a whole lot of other people who just came together and were not just unpacking what went down here at this very site, the castle where we are today, what happened here that is still impacting on us, and how do we use this experience to move forward in awareness and enlightenment, and also to invite our ancestors into the place. We had a traditional healer, traditional leader, Bradley van Sitters, is also known as Dana Khoe, and he came with a team of traditional healers and cleansed the space and invited our ancestors in. And that also signals to us that in our modern lives, we have to stop making this division between who we are as spiritual beings and who we are as intellectual professional beings.
Beautiful conversation, this, Sylvia. Thank you so much for joining. It felt like, a rich historical lecture, and I really, really enjoyed it. Lovely chatting to you, Sylvia.
Kai Gangans.
All right, that was a multilingual and intercultural Krotoa Eva van Kaap, and it's written by the award-winning writer, filmmaker and journalist Sylvia Vollenhoven, and kicks off at the Artscape Arena from the 8th to the 18th of December this year.